Hey Track Gang, what's going on in this week's episode of the Boeville in Newtown? Well, it's right over here. Stand by and we'll get into what's happening this week. Hello, Track Gang, and welcome to episode 22 for 2025. Happens to be June 21st of 2025, and I just got back last night from a short vacation. I was out with the family out at Deep Creek Lake for a couple of days. It rained the whole time. But again, like I've been telling some other folks, a bad day at the lake was better than any good day at work, right? So it was very relaxing, other than the fact that, like I said, the weather was just ridiculous. I mean, it would rain, and then it would stop for like 15, 20 minutes, and then it would rain, and then it would stop for 15, 20 minutes, and then it would rain. And it wasn't just, a drizzle or a mist. It was a freaking downpour. So, it is what it is. Like I said, though, I had a chance to get away from things for a bit, clear my head, which is always a good thing. Tomorrow night, and of course this vlog is going to come out after the fact, but I want to go ahead and talk about something real quick. I'm talking about clearing your head. Before I left for vacation, I started running another ops session, which, for the most part, it was testing out the new shelving, or not the new shelving, but the new reorganization of the shelving that I put in, which seems to be working quite well. The issue wasn't with that. I think it was more or less due to the fact that I haven't run the railroad as much as it should be run, because of the fact that it is operational. For the most part, and that's where the caveat comes in. While I was doing that, I went to do the southbound and, of course, then right after the northbound freight locals. To which I found out that I have an issue with the stinking turntable yet again. And it really pissed me off. It's got nothing to do with the bearings that I put in a few years ago to help with the electrical connectivity issue. That seems to be fine. The issue again is the stinking rails that you have to glue to the deck. The glue is just not holding to the deck. So the rails are loose. Again, well, you can imagine what happens when you go ahead and you throw an Athearn locomotive or run an Athearn locomotive across the things. It's just knocking everything out of gauge. It loses connectivity. That's it. Not only do I have the issue with the turntable, but I've also got it with the diesel servicing facility. Same deal. Those rails are supposed to sit in to the plastic, and they're supposed to hold gauge. I don't know what Walters was thinking. I really don't. And anybody who has these stinking things, if you figured out how to keep the rails down permanent, you're doing a hell of a lot better than I am. I am to the point, at least with the turntable and probably with the servicing facility, of taking that deck back up, at least on the turntable. Let's talk about the turntable first. Taking that deck back up, cutting the plastic where the rails are supposed to go, that piece of plastic that's supposed to be there, bracing it up from underneath, and just laying a piece of normal flex track through it, or a piece of straight track, whatever, to go ahead and keep the damn rails in alignment and keep them from freaking coming apart. I don't know what else to do with this freaking thing. I've tried crazy glue, I've tried tester's glue, I think I've even tried Gorilla Glue at one point, which obviously didn't work. I'm fed up with it. I really don't know what else to do with the daggone thing. I really don't. I mean, it really irked the crap out of me. That, and of course, which was an easier fix, the Canton switch locomotive that sits over there was working in fits and starts going in one direction, would work fine in the other direction. When I brought it back here to the bench, the wheels were just, let me back up a minute. I know it's got the older non-nickel silver wheels. It's got, I think they're the steel wheels. I think that was a Gen 1, I should say a Gen 1. Gen 2 after the locomotive, because everybody knows that the Gen 1s were the rubber band drives. The Gen 2s weren't the Gen 3 or Gen 4s that we mess with now. The Gen 3 drives are the same drives that Lifelike put into the Proto 2000s. Those drives are bulletproof. You've really got to do something stupid to blow one of them up. You know, not maintaining them or whatever, you know, those motors are pretty much bulletproof. Pretty much, like I said, going into the Gen 4 or above, which is your DCC ones now. I know they've made some modifications to those, but regardless. Anyway, like I said, I'm going to have to do like Joe Rader had talked about and go out and actually get the nickel silver wheels for, I think that one's a Gen 2, and I think my PA1 now, the Boeville Newtown PA1, is on a Gen 2 drive, because the Gen 1, or the Gen 3 drive, did I screw this up again? Yes, I did. No, the Gen... yeah. I took the Gen 3 drive out from underneath of that and snagged one of the ones that was underneath the nickel plate, because I like the silver side frames. But that is, like I said, I'm almost certain that is a Gen 2 drive. That one there has also got the old steel wheels on it. So I'm going to have to upgrade those at some point. It's not going to happen anytime soon because, well, let me give you another update to something else that's been a problem for a few months now. And I'm hoping that this Sidetrack Sunday coming up on the 22nd is the last Sidetrack Sunday that I have to deal with the Windows 10 machine. I've been working with my buddy Big John and also my daughter's boyfriend, John. John 5620, to build a computer. I'm going to basically, for lack of a better term, I'm going to scratch build a computer. Now, another caveat to this. I'm not building a supercomputer. I'm not trying to build a $5,000 computer. I don't need to go that route. However, what I am going to build is going to cost me around $1,300-ish. 12 to 1,300, it really depends. And the reason why I'm waiting is there's some deals coming up for the parts for that computer that I can get discounts on to help keep the costs down. So that's the reason why I'm kind of waiting. Now that we've basically figured out that yes, what I'm going to do is going to work. Here's the deal. Some folks would be like, well, the only thing you're doing on it is video editing and the live streams. What the heck do you really need? Well, you're right. My theory is this. I use computers until they frickin' die. In fact, you know, here it is, and Heath remembers that I had an old XPS 710 or 720 sitting down here for the longest time. It was still running XP. That was basically my goof-off machine. That one there was one that I had built through Dell years ago, back in the early 2000s. That thing lasted me 20 years. The only reason why I stopped using or didn't use it for anything for the railroad was I took it off the network when I got the ones from my stepfather-in-law when he passed away. You know, we picked up 3 decent machines from him. The one that I picked up to bring down here for the railroad was one that I considered from him was a tinkering machine. He had all sorts of, he liked being on the cutting edge of technology. This thing had stuff in it that I was never going to use. It had a TV tuner in it. It had a wireless thing inside that was inside the case. That was where the antenna was. It wasn't on the back. It was inside the case. I got rid of all that. I'm like, I don't need all that. That machine now I've had since 2017. Okay, that's now 8 years old. It was originally, when I got it, was running 7. I upgraded it to 10. I can't upgrade it any further. I also don't know everything that's in that computer. I don't know if I could upgrade the motherboard and be able to put another CPU in. And by the time you sit there and start piecemealing something like that, that you're not even sure how much longer it's going to last, power supply wise, so on and so forth, it's better just to start from scratch. So here's what I'm doing. I'm basically building another computer that's going to get me through the next 5 years. Something that I know what the heck is in it, so that when it comes time to have to upgrade it, I know what I've got in it, I know what I can pull out, I know what I can put in it. So it's going to be a generic case, and I'm going that route. Like I said, the whole thing, when it's all said and done, is probably going to be upwards of about $1,300, which to me, you know, when the first computer that I built on this thing that my daughter's boyfriend sent over was going to be almost $3,500, and he went ahead and emailed me back and went, "You're not trying to control the space shuttle. We can fix this." So I'm like, all right, fine. So we started going through it, and I got it down to, like I said, $1,300. We'll deal with it. Any rate, what else has been going on? Well, another frustration. Before I left for vacation, you're gonna have to pardon me. I'm gonna swing in here a little bit and go down here to the bench, because this is what this vlog was supposed to be about. Okay. Put my cheaters back on. This is another project. I'll explain that one in a minute. As you can see here, I've got the Boeville Newtown 4232 sitting here, and I have been trying to put tie downs on this thing for the I forgot what Sparky called it. I'm going to call it the fuse rack. And every time that I go to try and tighten up the thread, or even if I use the thin wire that came from the inside of the 4 conductor wire that I've got, I don't use, that's the ground, I don't use that. So I cut that out and I use it for other things. But every time I go to tighten it, I'm either snapping the wire or I'm snapping the thread. And I could not for the life of me figure out how I was going to do this. And I still don't exactly know how I'm going to do this. I'm going to play with this a little bit more now that my head's a little bit clearer, and see if I can come up with something that makes a little bit more sense and see if we can get this to work. So I'm going to play around with this for a bit. Oh, and one other thing. I did play around with the other heavy haul car, and while I was trying to pull the wire tight on it, I ended up snapping one of the tie downs. That's the reason why that one's white. So I got to go back and repaint that, then I got to tie that one back down. Now somebody would be like, well, why don't you just go ahead and kind of pull the thread tight and then glue it and then tie it off? Well, I still want to be able to remove these things at some point, maybe. So I don't want to make them too permanent. So I'm going to go ahead and give some things a shot here, and I'll let you know what we got when we're done. We'll be back. Just a little patience. Holy moly. Alright, so what I ended up doing is I ended up getting it on there. I do have to do some touch up to the transformers themselves, and I also noticed that the 2 transformers are a little on the loose side, but I'm afraid to mess with it too much, to be perfectly honest. I don't know what else I can do to make it, to get them any tighter. This one's really loose. I don't know why. Anyway, but I'm happy with it. I mean, it'll function. It's not perfect, but then again, nothing on this railroad is. So that one's together. That one can go out. This one is now fixed, so it's ready. The other one, the low boy, the one that I 3D printed, that one's already out at the layout. I've got that sitting on the lower level over at Harrisburg. So, and what I'm going to do with the spare transformer and the sticks, I'm not sure yet. I mean, I've got a base. If I find some place on the layout for a transformer, you know, I've got the base here. Of course, I've already painted this one gray. There's another one floating around down here someplace. Oh, there it is. This one's still green. But, you know, I've got the pad for it. So I might just decide to put it out on the layout someplace. Who knows? So 4232, 4230, 4233, and 4231 is actually, like I said, out at the layout. This is an idler. This one here can be used for either this or for, obviously, moving piggybacks. So that stuff is now done. Now, since I keep mentioning the maintenance of waste stuff, oh, I just realized what fell on the floor before. My airbrush cleaner. I 3D printed a, I'm going to go ahead and swing up here a minute. Yeah, I know I've got to get this, that direction. Okay. I went and 3D printed a skeleton for a flat car. This guy. And I was like, well, that's great. Where's the rest of it? Well, apparently what you're supposed to do with this is go out and buy the Tichy train group. Has the rest of this car. But I made a mistake a while back, which isn't unusual, with 3D printing. And I had 3D printed what I thought was going to be great. It was a set of sidewalks. This stuff. And I was like, well, this is going to be wonderful. I can print out sidewalks and I can do it. The problem with that is these are way too wide for what I wanted them for. So, what do you do with scrap? Or take the S off of it. What do you do with things like this? Well, I have that crane car that was originally, it's a Bachmann, that is currently painted up for Amtrak that I patched out and put B&N on the side of. And when I had the last round of decals made by John number 2 over at Schuylkill for me, or he asked me if I want it, he obliged and sent me some. I actually just had black B&N printed out. Eventually, down the road, what I would like to do is take apart that train, that maintenance of way train, the crane car, and the searchlight car, and the tool car, and bring them back here and actually paint them into a different... I don't know if I want to paint them... I know that orange or gray was mainly your maintenance of way stuff. I've never been a fan of gray, although it would work well for what I would want. But at any rate, eventually they're going to come back here and they're going to get repainted, they're going to get re-logoed, and they're going to get renumbered. I've got the numbers, I need to repaint them. But one of the things was, and I've mentioned this before with that maintenance of way train, was that the crane boom is always pointed in the opposite direction of travel. My railroad, my deal, okay? There's been enough issues in recent years on the highways of people putting backhoes and such on flatbeds in the wrong damn direction and taking out bridges. Most notably was probably about 20 years ago down here, somebody had one on a back of on a flatbed the wrong direction and took out a pedestrian bridge over top of 695 while kids were on their way home from school. Yeah, God rest their souls. Any rate, so my deal is whatever direction that train's headed in, that boom is always pointing in the other direction, which presented a problem. If you put it right up against the searchlight car, there's no place for the boom. The boom is going to hit the searchlight. So I took one of the antique, I call it antique. It was a newer model. It's a newer AHM model, but it was of a antique tank car. Basically what it was is they had 3 wooden barrels on the car. I took those off and turned that into basically an idler flat. All well and good. It's the wrong railroad. It's actually not really, it doesn't work because it's a flat car. It's got no sides. So what happens is that thing is going around, it's dragging that one hook across the deck, and eventually it's going to swing past it, and the next time it goes around a corner, it's going to take out the flat car. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this skeleton, and I'm going to take these pieces and I'm going to create the base and sides for basically an open flat car. It'll be open on the ends. It won't be open on the sides. So that way I have some way of controlling that crane. Obviously you can't put that crane in place, because if you did that, when it would go around the corner, it would take out the car anyway. So this is just a better option than what I've got out there now. So that's a future project. It's not something I'm going to be playing with this week. One of the things that I do want to do is I want to get out there and start working on that stinking backdrop so I can get some more scenery done. And Ted, if you happen to be watching this, Ted Heimball with his Western Maryland, I noticed a couple of pictures that you put up not that long ago. It gave me an idea as to how I can fix my hills. Basically, I am going to still put trees up, but I think I'm going to put the trees across the top of that ridge and then just fill in the rest of it with lichen all the way down to that retaining wall. We're going to play with that, and we're going to play with that concept and see what it looks like. But I want to get the backdrop painted first, at least get the road in and so on and so forth, get down to the damn scene so I can get down to Boeville and start working on other things, because I've got other stuff that I need to do down there that I want to get done, and I want to get it done before October, which is fastly approaching. So I'm going to stop here for a bit, and we're probably going to go out and we're going to take a look at the layout. But we'll be back. Alright, well, hello Truck Gang, and it's Thursday the 26th of June. I'm going to wrap this up. Didn't get to everything I wanted to. You got to see some of the stuff that I have been working on. Like I said, I'm going to link, if you haven't seen it, the video from the heavy haul train. Its first run across the layout. Some really interesting discussions on the past Sidetrack Sunday this past Sunday, where we talked about the turntable and some of the other little annoyances that we seem to all have, but that's probably the biggest one that I've got at the moment, is the fact that I have to tear into that 90-foot turntable again and see what I can do to get it permanently fixed. And it has nothing to do with the fix that I put on it a couple of years ago. This has got to do with the rails. That and the diesel servicing facility and things of that nature. You know, it is what it is. So don't forget, this Sunday, 8 p.m. U.S. Eastern, is Brian over at the Iron Horse Route. The link to his channel is in the description. Obviously, once we get the link to the actual video for that show, we will post it on social media, Facebook, and our channels. But In the meantime, oh, wait a minute, almost forgot. It's a day late, I know, but yesterday, the 25th of June, was not only Sparky 107, that would be Dave from over the north of the border, but also my brother Chris. His birthday was yesterday as well, so happy birthday, gentlemen. Normally don't do those shout outs, but the thing of it is it's hard to forget when Sparky's is, because it's, like I said, it's the same day as my brother. Any rate, you all know the deal. Wait for the highball. Green tracks ahead. We'll catch you all next time. Be safe. God bless. We will see ya.